Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since I've been able to put a video out. Got to do some shooting though. Last video we did, we were narrowing in on two different nodes I was looking at there from our ladder test with those 105s, and I've actually got some pretty good results out of that too. So let's get into what happened there. Alright, last time when we left off, we were looking at basically these two nodes. This one here had about 6 feet per second difference in it, and this one up here had about 3 feet per second difference on it. And of course we went up and found our pressure signs. Wasn't real sure about this because it was 74 degrees when we shot this ladder test, and that come along later to bite us in the butt pretty good. Trying some of our different powders in that lower node, we were getting some pretty good results out of it. Next time we ran out, we kind of looked around there a little more, and went back to the lower node and jumped on up into the upper node. Now the upper node was actually shooting pretty good at that point. Run up here, we're at 3188 feet per second, and that was 3199. And the loads weren't looking too bad. There again, 74 degrees on that, so we were still on a cooler day. Then it started getting a little warmer. We jumped on up to 81 degrees, and actually tried some different primers. There's our CCI 250s, some CCI 200s, and some Winchester large rifle. And there's another batch with the Winchester large rifle. And I was doing a cleaning in between each one of these sets. So there's actually 6 shots on these guys, and that's the cold bore Fowler, that's cold bore Fowler, that's the cold bore Fowler, and that one also a Fowler. But I ended up, those were all slower speed, so I ended up pulling them out of my aggregate for the group. But you can see she was definitely liking the grouping. Some of the numbers weren't too bad. This one had a standard deviation of 6 with an extreme spread of 17, and that was at the 44.8. Next day we went out, 85 degrees, and I wanted to try some different primers, and I backed down to 44 grains, because as the temperature started getting up there higher, I started experiencing pressure signs. So we went back to our 44, our lower node. There's with Winchester primers, extreme spread of 9, or a standard deviation of 9, extreme spread of 21. Nice little group there. CCIs. Another one at 44 grains. That one kind of spread out, and that was back up at the 44.8, and that was definitely where I was finding pressure issues. The group shot good, but the brass was coming out kind of hinky looking, and that was at 3,200 feet per second. Standard deviation of 14, extreme spread of 33. Numbers are a little high for me, but the groups are looking pretty good. So I know I was onto something there. It actually was messing with our load length, and these are actually jammed into the lens. Different primers. This is all my Fowers. These guys got cleaned in between each set, and let time for the gun to cool down and everything. This was with CCI 200s, 3144, and extreme spread of 34. Standard deviation was 13 on there. CCI 250s, 3130, 18, and extreme spread of 52. That's a nice little group. This is their Winchester large rifle primers again, 3155. Standard deviation of 23 with an extreme spread of 64. So they were kind of really liking a little bit warmer weather. CCI BR2s we tried in there. They were at 3140 feet per second, 15 standard deviation and 40 extreme spread. There's a little group on those. There's some Federal 215s, 3165, standard deviation of 13, extreme spread of 36. Not a bad little group. And then we shot some Federal GM210Ms. Had at 3137 feet per second with a standard deviation of 5, an extreme spread of 14, and that's a nice little group. So we kind of decided that was where we want to go, and I started loading everything up with that from there. And that was back at the 44 grains, because I was getting pressure signs once the heat started coming up. Here's some results. We got out to the 300-yard range. Of course, I just checked my zero at 100 yards, and there's our first group at 300 yards, and our second group at 300 yards. And I had a flyer pull out of there. That's about 1 3/4 inches, and that's 2.5 inches with that flyer. And if not, it's 1.22 inches. So little flyer kind of killed us on that one. Got again the next day to kind of reconfirm some of this. This is my sighter target, kind of messing around with my Fowers. First group here came in at 1.558, and second group come in at 1.470. And this one here came in at 2.301, but I noticed my suppressor had just kind of walked loose a little bit and gave me a little barrel vibration, which kind of throws the harmonics off a little bit. But that was 91 degrees. Looks like the gun's trying to stay within a half-minute group here, half-minute of angle. So that's pretty good. If I'm getting those kind of results at 300. I should be all right running on down the road. Okay, we've got a load picked out now that we're fairly happy with. I actually have done a tall target test, a couple of them, to make sure that we were right straight in line with our optics and everything. So when we wound up on our scope, everything went straight up. We had to make a little adjustment there. We figured out a percentage of slip on our actual dope. It's running about 7% low. So I just need to add that to my data. We'll get out and confirm some of the range data on this thing and get a final dial in. I want to shoot that load several times through the chrono at an average summer temperature. Find out exactly what our speeds are, but we'll have to check it every time we go out to shoot to make sure we got our zeros and stuff right. The gun's been acting excellent. I've had no issues with it. I've got just about 300 rounds running through that barrel now, so she's ought to be game to go. we're about to head out to the 1,000-yard range, and I might end up trying to shoot a couple of matches out there with this thing to see what she'll actually do. We've been real happy with the 783. Accuracy is, it's not a bench gun, and it's basically a varmint gun, but it's getting pretty close to varmint specs. Some of the groups we were shooting at 300 yards, I was shooting off of that little black bag over there, and the 300-yard range, the targets are actually elevated, so I had stuffed a piece of 2x6 underneath the bag, and it was kind of wobbling around, so I could actually improve on those groups, with a better front setup out there, more of a bench rest style setup. But it's not that often I'm out varmint hunting with a bench rest setup. I'm usually using a bipod or the tripod or a bag, and so that's kind of the way I like to try to shoot some of this stuff to see what it's actually doing. So it's actually a half MOA gun. That's what it's looking like. The Excalibur barrel has been excellent. It takes me, I use 6 patches to clean it out every time I clean it. 3 wet ones and 3 dry ones. The first, brush it a few times, run a couple of wet patches down, and by that 3rd wet patch, there's nothing in it anymore. So then I just run 3 dry patches down to make sure it's good and dry. The first shot out of there is usually a little bit slower until I get get a little bit of powder built up in there, and they start averaging out. I do not know how many rounds I can run out of there without cleaning it yet. I usually don't try to go there, but once I get out and start shooting matches where I'm shooting 50 or 100 rounds a day, then that might be a bit different story. The way the 1,000-yard matches are set up, I'll be able to clean in between each relay. So there again, it's still only going to get probably 10 rounds or so run through it each time. So if you like our little series we did on this thing, give me a thumbs up. I will be doing more in the future. We've got a bunch of different guns I want to do videos on, some different series and stuff. But this one here was a build up, and I just wanted to kind of walk everybody through what I went through to build this thing up from a factory rifle. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to, so you can see more of these videos, and we'll catch you next time.